Hi friends, Renee Keese here again with Carolina Creative. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here with more card making ideas for you. Today I'm back again working with this Nests of Winter suite, which includes these winterly treetops stamps and dies. Last time I used the really pretty paper. The suite is just gorgeous, and I showed how easy it was to die cut some of these bird designs right out of the paper. Today I'm going to use some of this paper again for a background. I can show you the bigger sheet. This looks like tree trunks and birds, and I'm going to use this for a background, but I'm actually going to stamp and die cut a bird image and do some coloring. So it's something a little bit different today. I'm going to flip the camera down and go ahead and get started here. I want to do a couple of quick stamping and then die cutting and get this out of my way. So I'm just going to use basic gray. It's a little softer color than using black. And so I'm stamping with basic gray onto very vanilla. You're going to see that that coordinates. Oh, I wanted to do inside the card too. It's going to coordinate nicely with my card base here. I have, I think it's the copper clay. And I'm going to put on the inside just a little piece of the bird right there. And of course, I got some ink all over my work surface already. So let's get that cleaned up. That will be the inside. The other thing I wanted to stamp was the sentiment, and I'm going to run the same color across the paper. You'll see how it goes together. But I want to go ahead and use the ink now and then put it up so I don't have to have it in my way here. So I'm stamping, thinking of you always. There we go. Show you what that looks like. So I should be done with that. So now I'm going to take my die cutting piece here and put this all together and run it through my stamping and embossing machine, my die cutting machine. So what I've already done is I've laid a piece of garden green cardstock here. I'm punching out some more of these little pine boughs. And then I'm going to side by side put my bird on here and punch him out as well. And then I can color. Sometimes I like to color while it's all in one piece, but in order to get this equipment out of my way, I'm just going to go ahead and die cut and do my watercoloring separately. Okay, so I can move this out of the way and then uncover this to show you what we have. So I now have 1, 2, and I had pre-cut 2 more, and I've got a few more laying here. So I've got 6 different pieces of the pine boughs here, and my bird is all punched out for me. So I'm going to cut that little piece out, and I'm now done with this. And of course, this wants to stick. Oh, that's one way to get it loose. Use a thumbnail. Okay, so I've got my little branches over there. Move that out of the way. Move this aside. All right. I have cleared a space. So here's my my stamps, my dies all together. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've already pulled out some colored pencils knowing I have some idea what I'm going to do. So I was pulling out colors, and I was taking some inspiration from this paper. I could mimic some of these birds, and I'm kind of going for the blue and yellow. He looks kind of like an eastern bluebird like we have. I was just looking at some of my backyard a little while ago. So that's kind of what I'm going to mimic. But you could easily do grays and red. You can make it look like a cardinal. There's a lot of different things you could do if that's what you wanted to do. I have a shadow here. Let's see if that helps. But there's a lot of different things you could do with this bird design. So what I am thinking, I'm going to work right here so I'm in sight. I've got this is cherry cobbler, and I'm going to do some bright red berries. He's holding red berries on a little branch in his mouth. And then when I watercolor this, it'll pop even more. I pulled out the orange. This is pumpkin pie. I wanted his beak to be a little bit of a different color. And I might even give his legs and feet here a touch of orange as well, just to make them pop. I have early espresso, and I'm just going to put that here on the branch that he's sitting on. Now you can tell I'm not coloring everything. I am just putting a little bit of color on here, light and dark. I will work through those details later when I use the blender pen. So I'm going to mix the blues and grays together. I'm going to give him a little bit of an outline here. So some of the blue shows up and a little bit of color on his head, a little bit there. And then I'm going to mix some gray in there just to tone it down. And then I'm kind of going to smoosh it all together. I'm going to give his head a little more color. You can see I'm kind of going with, until I get to the head here, I just want some color on his head. And so now I'm going to take yellow and kind of give him a yellow chest or a yellow breast. And I will fade this out as I go too with the blender pen. I'm going to put a little more gray here so that the gray will blend right up to the yellow, and I'll give him some more color. And we'll see if that's enough. So I'm actually going to start, if you haven't played with the blender pens, these are a lot of fun. With these watercolor pencils, it takes and it pulls the color. So first I'm going to do the berries and smooth them out. And I like to wipe this on a piece of paper to make sure I'm not carrying color over. And now you can see how I'm pulling. I've got light and dark. I'm pulling the brown for that branch. I'm wiping off here. I think I'm going to start with the yellow first, and I'm going to go along the edges where I want it darker, and then just pull some of this yellow up. And I'm kind of stroking like it's feathers. Obviously, it is feathers. And then I'm going to take the blue and smoosh this a little bit and darken his head and pull that down into his head. And now I'm just blending some of this gray back, just giving him a little bit of color, but blending some of the gray, pulling a little bit of the blue from the wings. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of mixing it in, so he's a little bit of blue and a little bit of gray, but I'm mixing those colors together. So I will hold this up so you can see what the bird now looks like. So he's got blue and gray in his wings. He's got a yellow breast. I pulled some of the gray down into his head, you know, between his breast and his wings. He's holding the red berries. So that's all I'm going to do. And I think I'm not going to color on the inside. I'm just going to leave him stamped like that. And I'm not going to put a sentiment on the inside either, because I'm already thinking this could be a birthday card. This could be anything. Just because it says thinking of you always, it could be absolutely anything. So I'm going to start assembling, and I'm going to go ahead and put this insert. I'm getting low on glue, but there's enough for several more cards. I always think it's several, and it lasts way longer than I expect. So I just keep tapping it and shaking it down. Okay, so there's my inside. I've also, so I already said this is a copper clay, and then I've got a gray granite. I'm pulling, again, colors out of this paper. So I'm taking my cue from the paper, and I'm going to mount this. And so I have these two tones. Now, I thought about doing my background dark espresso, and then I thought, no, that's a pretty powerful statement going that dark. It would look good, but I just opted to go a little bit lighter. But there's so many options that you could do with this. So I'm framing this. I have two colors now, and I think because I have more weight here, I'm going to use my seal. Yep, there went the cap to my glue flying across my work surface. That's what happens. Okay, so I'm going to put my two layers. I'm going to center this up so I have a nice frame on all sides. I'm going to run this banner from edge to edge, and now I've got to decide, what am I going to cover up? I think I want my little bluebird here peeking out, and so I got some feathers showing there, and that's okay. So I'm going to use my seal again and go ahead. But you can decide where you want to position this depending on your cut of paper. All the birds kind of end up in different places depending how you cut your paper. So my thought was to put the bird on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to put these pine boughs, branches, all around and under him, So it looks like he's sitting in this greenery. So I kind of want it at a bunch of different angles. I've got 6 of these here because I didn't know how many, you cut 2 at a time, but I really didn't know how many I was going to need. Yeah, 4, maybe I'll put a 5th one in there as I assemble it. But yeah, that is what I'm going for. So I've already glued this down. I'm going to start with my pines and run glue down the middle here because I don't want these to look completely plastered down. I want them to look a little bit loose. I had a little too much glue there because it was seeping out the side. But I'm going to put Winkostella on here, so that's going to give some sparkle and shimmer anyway. So that's going to hide if any of the glue happens to be showing. It won't be there for long. Okay, so let's do that, and let's do, yeah, that should be enough to hold it. And I can maybe tuck this right under and put this one back on top and push them down. All right, one more. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the bird. I want him sitting up in the foreground. So I'm going to make sure that he has support to keep him popped up. Do that. I might need a mini on the berries. Yep, I got minis. I keep both of them in the different sides of this packet so I can always be grabbing for whatever I need. So that will support that. And let me put one down there. Okay, let me pop off all the backings. Here we go. They're just flying everywhere. That one doesn't want to come. All right. Just like that. Now, I have one that's wanting to stick. Stick to the surface. I don't usually have that problem. There, got it loose. Okay, so now I'm going to sit him in the middle of all this. And then my last touch here, well, I have 2 little last touches. I'm going to put a little Winkostella on his wings and a little on his chest. And then, as I said, I was going to put some on the greenery here to give it just a little bit of shimmer. I could make a few of these birds sparkle too if I wanted to, just like that. I did pull out, I had some champagne rhinestones. They're kind of subtle, but they go in this brown theme. And so I thought, well, I like the tiny ones. I'm just going to put maybe 3 of them on here just to give it a little bit of additional sparkle. And yeah, there we have it. Let me flip my camera back up. So I have taken a piece of designer series paper. I've colored my own bird. I could have made him any colors that I wanted. He could have been a cardinal. He could have been anything I dreamt up. I used the stamp from the Winterly Treetop, so it says thinking of you always. And then on the inside, I just have another little bird peeking there. And so I could put happy birthday. I could put, you know, just any kind of message on the inside, or just write a note to go along with my thinking of you, whatever the occasion is. So that's my card making tip for today. Thanks for joining in. If you like the products and the projects you've seen here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative, or you can find me on StampinUp.net. This is Renee Keys signing off. Thanks for joining in today. Stay tuned for the next one.